What's up guys, Flo here, and this is your Omen mains guide to Ascent. Now this format's gonna be a little bit different as I did record this on stream and it was kind of impromptu, but I felt like I gave a lot of good information here. Basically, someone on stream had asked, hey Flo, how do you play Omen on Ascent? I'm having a lot of trouble. So I gave him the rundown on what exactly I do and the thought process behind it. As always, it's gonna be a comprehensive guide that has a lot of information to take down. So timestamps are gonna be down at the bottom so that you can better sift through this video. Before I start, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of this video, the like button. If you could just one tap that like button for me, it is free and would greatly support the channel. I'll love you a lot and you'll definitely hit radiant if you do. Anyways, on to the video. For A main, you're gonna really want to do this one as often. It depends which site you're on or which site has been played the most. Don't do both. It's a little overkill and basically you won't have another smoke. You want to have an extra smoke just in case they push past the initial one. So if they push past this one, you're gonna see me in that previous game. I'll just drop a smoke like that. So then that way, that even though they got the first one, they didn't really get much and they had to expend a lot of utility to get through here. As for flashes, you want to play off your flash if possible. This is the thing. You don't want to flash. There's a timing with this flash. You don't want to flash when they're like obviously this deep because they're not just gonna run out. You want to time it so it's like right as they're going out or they've already expended a shit ton of util. So if you can flash like as their flashes are going right, like, so you hear their flash pop and then you already have your flash ready, that's the best time because one, you either catch them when they're out, or two, you catch them and they go back into the smoke and they wasted flashes, darts, whatever, and that's really good. It's also good with the drone because they like to follow up the drone. So if you flash, the drone gets blind, can't see where you are, you can swing out. If anyone's out, you kill them, but if nobody's out, you break the drone and their drone did nothing. In terms of TP, there's kind of hard. It's a little bit hard. In general, you probably won't come into this situation. So for example, you get one kill here and then this guy, like they've already scaled this side. You can try to fight like this. Sometimes it's just better to go for an aggressive TP like this because they know you're there. They're probably not going to expect that. So then they're just going to keep looking for sight. You're in the side now. So sometimes re-aggressing is actually a better thing because they took the time to clear it on the initial hit, but once they found out where you were, now they're zoned in, they think this is clear, you TP to a spot that they think was clear, and then you get a kill. As for if you're rushing, I like just flashing early. If you can save it, it might be a little bit better. If you have a drone, then you don't need to flash this early. But when you're flashing for A, everyone just throws it for Jenny, right? Like this. I want to tell you that that's not the best one. You want to aim up here, like this halfway point, because the flash is big enough where it'll hit the Jenny players, but this way it also flashes anyone who's sitting here in heaven. And it's really good because a lot of people just like to sit behind the wall ready to swing. And if you throw your flash like this, yeah, like that. There you go. And then that'll also hit heaven. It kind of gets more purpose. Defense, you're going to want to try to one-way something beginning of every round if you have two smokes. This one for B is good. You want to basically just look at the bottom of the smoke and you just want to leave a little space for the feet to show. So that way you can spam them and then from their point of view, you can't see anything. So this is really good. You get a lot of control. And basically what this does is like, yeah, they could flash. It might even push you off. But the idea is that if they do, one, you have a really easy kill. If you end up getting pushed off, you now know that they're hitting B here. And then allows you to get all the way back sight rather than knowing when they're coming out, and that's a little bit too late. So doing this for early info is good. If you have a Sova, you can throw this smoke sometimes and you have your Sova sitting here ready to dart there and you walk into your own smoke and you see like when you hear footsteps or someone grabbing the orb, then you tell them to shoot it and then you can spam through your own smoke and get the kills. Now let's go over some attack stuff. It varies. So I personally like smoking this spawn off and then market, but it depends. Sometimes if you know there's an upper market, then it's worth to smoke this one off because realistically this is the first angle that people will fight, right? So yeah, you should smoke this one first, but sometimes when the team is rushing too fast, your two smokes won't pop fast enough because they're going. You'll throw the market one first, right? And you see how much time it takes to throw. Like there's too much time. If they're already close, then both smokes are not going to pop in time. So in that case, I'll throw this one because I think this one's a little more dangerous, and I'll leave this one because sometimes someone could just stay posted and get a pick. If you're rushing, this flash is the best. I think I like flashing toward this way rather than this way. because this way doesn't cover enough. Like you see how there's like this big gap on this side. So rather than that, I throw this one, and then this one will also blind anyone logs and up to here. If you have a drone, then you can save your flash, and I would recommend flashing something like this way. So then it'll hit everything close, boat, and stairs. Stairs being the most important part. After that, flashing, getting out the choke point is main priority. Sometimes when your teammates are having trouble getting out, I'll just throw in a random TP like this. Especially if I did it right after a flash or your teammates are pulling a lot of aggro. Sometimes it'll catch them off. If you can actually do this, where you'll smoke like purposely out a little bit, and then when you TP into your smoke. Now, if there's a market player, you're kind of fucked. If they're in there. Sometimes they're not in there, which is a little bit good. You can also throw, let me see if I can figure out another smoke. I think something like this. This is like a really weird smoke. Let's see if this one will fade. Yeah. And you TP like there, right? And then this way it gives you cover to half the site, but you know, obviously it's a risky play regardless. You determine it by the gunshots that you hear as you're playing throughout the round. So as I'm running here, right? If I hear one spamming here and then one like playing here, then I will sometimes subconsciously make the decision to do that, because usually there's 2B and then like 2A and then 1 mid. So sometimes I'll make the subconscious decision to TP, like, because I know that, oh, if I have this smoke up and this smoke up, then this lane guy will probably not be looking here. He'll probably be focused there. On the defense side, you want to use your TP, play back boat. Like if you can on B hits early enough, get back boat, and the moment you get out of TP, you're gonna flash like that, or you're gonna flash like this. The idea is you're gonna flash wherever you hear the footsteps, and you're trying to aim it based on the footsteps and swing off of that. And then that way you can, because it's a pretty good angle to like hold. You can TP back here. It's a little risky sometimes, but it does give you a better flash angle. You see how that hits everything? Yeah, when you're clearing, you want to make sure that before you swing alone, you want to make sure that there's a teammate like right behind you. What sucks here is if your teammate's like too far out and you're just swinging, sometimes it's just like you just get picked and then they continue holding the line. This is like kind of a really crappy angle to swing off of a lot of the times, because it's very hard for someone to clear this properly. They have to clear that behind dice, there, even down here, right? So there's like so many spots and stairs there that like the attackers are focused. They're like gonna scale up and then drop like this. So a lot of times you'll want to like wait a little bit if you can. There's times where you don't. You'll wait till someone like backs up close to you, and then you guys just double swing. Just like if you notice that it's like, hey, in the time where you're waiting for your teammates to get out a little bit, you can like just like jiggle peek and see if you can find out where this guy is. And then if you find out where he is, it makes the second swing much better. I think everyone just like wants to swing, but the thing is like they know you're here, right? They know you're there, but they think that you don't know where they are because they can play so many positions. So if you like start shooting and you find out where they are, it levels the playing field. It makes it so like, oh, when I swing, I know I have to look this area, or when I swing, I know I have to look this area. So like taking the time, or even just playing slightly passive, seeing if someone will swing you is really good. Next is, sometimes this is worth it. So they'll smoke you out B main, like something like this. And then sometimes I'll just take a TP and I'll go like something like this, right? So I TP and get out. And sometimes, unless they're logs, which can happen, but you'll get a little lucky. And then you can get out onto site. Is mid control important on tag? Yeah. Basically, mid control is what you should be thinking about when your direct site hits, like your rushes aren't working. And that's just because like if your rushes aren't working, then you have to slow down the pace and make them have to, you know, pull their rotates, right? If you want to hit B, then you want less people on B, and to do that you take mid control so that they have to now pull a player away from B or A to hold mid. And then if you take tree, then maybe that'll, like, if you kill a player on A, that shifts one of the B players to mid or to A, and then all of a sudden B becomes a much easier time. But the idea is that the more control, like for example, you need mid control to go mid to B, right? If you don't have mid control, you can't go mid to B. And it forces defenders to play farther back. So if you've taken cat, right? If you've taken this area, the closest that they can play is here and like on site, right? And then for B, if you take B main control, then the closest is on site. But the moment you like let go of these, then like, oh, you saw my one-way smokes I was showing on the defense side. Well, they could use that. If they use that, then they know that you're not A main super early. Some of the A people leave to go B, and then your B attack is hard. So that's why you want to take mid control. If your team isn't planning on rushing anything, throw a smoke mid. Normally it's a cat one. And if it's a cat one, you want to kind of jump peek this one a little bit. Careful, don't jump too wide, because that's very easy to die. So I would like stay on the cautious side of, like, you can do multiple jump peeks, right? It doesn't have to be perfect on the first time. Sometimes I'll like do like that, but sometimes I'll like miss it, right? I'm like, okay, well then a little bit more out, and then that way you can peek the bare minimum to get the information you want. You can smoke mid. That's if your teammates, maybe they'll call it. Usually I'll smoke cat on default because the opper here is more annoying and mid is a little bit easier. But in the case that you don't, or they call it, or you have an opper and your opper wants to post on this, then you don't have to. Don't usually use both smokes. Sometimes you can, but it's not usually worth it. If you can, good spots to get into are aggressive wine, like here, because do you see how this entire lane is just like, well, it's a lane. Once they get into it and you flash, you have free reign over everything. You throw a flash like that, everyone here is dead. So if you can get here, it's a power position. TPing here off the rip, it is a little risky because they can hear that if they're aggressive A main. But what you can do is, because they don't like peeking this one way, if you throw the one way and you play here long enough, then at a certain point you could just walk, right? And you'll be fine and they won't have to worry. Maybe they'll clear wine, maybe they won't. It's better if you have a teammate A main as well to help like bait for you, because they'll start shooting. And they're like, oh, and then so when attackers hear that, they're like, oh, there's still one A main, there's probably not one wine, but they could still check, you know, if they're good players, they'll still check. If you have ult, this is like another thing you could do on A. You smoke out both and then you aim to TP on top of the little thing, this thing. You can even do it behind it. But the thing is, like, on the last game, if you guys go back and watch, I was doing it a lot when my KJ had ult, because when the KJ has ult, they're forced to play like far back and maybe hell, like that's the only place on site. But this way, what happens is when I'm up here, I can see everything. They could shoot me, but obviously I would be able to see them, right? I could see if they see me and then I could cancel. But the information is good enough. I'll know they're on site. If they're not and they fell back, now I'm in like a really good position to hold for any people who are swinging just through the heaven smoke. And this allows me to get that here pretty safely. This one's also pretty good. This one's not bad. You can TP here. This one I don't like as much. But yeah, those are general cases. If those aren't working, that means your sight hits aren't working, which means you have to play slow. And in that case, you want to take control over certain parts of the map. So throwing a deep smoke like this, will let you take control of this. They have to peek market to clear it. Remember, chamber trip is always here. And yeah, if you want from B main, you can flash for your teammates market. Like if they're going up mid, sometimes I'll just throw a flash like that, and it helps any teammates who are holding here. Aggressive smokes for mid, the tiles one. You can smoke top mid too. That's not bad. But normally you do tiles, and then you'll do this when like you have an opper that's peeking mid. And then therefore you can kind of take all this control. They have to drone through this. Those are other options, but you usually have to have someone capitalizing it. If you throw this smoke and no one's peeking off of it or like holding the smoke, it's kind of useless. So you or like holding top mid, and like if no one's using the smoke, you might as well throw in a one way. On the defense, you really want to see if you can re-aggro. Remember, it's easier to defend the site than it is to retake. So in the case that like you have a bunch of your teammates here and they're smoked out, right? And then you hear them like, oh, they're coming out. You'll see this in one round where the idea is you TP here and then you can continue fighting, or you can like, imagine there's no smoke here. You can fight on site, because they like, this is usually after like a teammate or two has died on the B site. And you remember, everyone assumes that there's 2 B, 2 A, 1 mid. That's very natural, right? 2 A players, 2 B players, 1 mid player. So once they've killed 2 B players, they generally won't expect there to be a third one. And sometimes when they like throw this smoke and they throw this smoke, right? And they're taking the site, and excuse the shitty TP, and you TP here, these guys are just running onto site because they think that, oh, we killed 2 people already, it's free. And then when you're there, you get aggressive, you get like 2 kills very easily, and then now because you cleared this much space, your teammates are willing to flash through and then come fight the A main guys because they know they can't get wrapped from sight. I also have problems when the enemy team starts being aggressive on mid. Should I contest the mid or just play site at that point? You don't really need to contest mid. The thing is, with contesting mid, it's hard to safely guarantee that you're gonna get one because you're usually isolated from your teammates. So like playing close here, it's hard. Like if you once you get found out, you're kind of dead. You get wall banged, you can't cross out, and your teammates from market is gonna have a hard time supporting you because you're so deep into that side. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that like, you have to be ready for a plan. So you get this kill, then you want to be immediately ready to smoke it, so then you can get out. And then that way, like, it's all planning, because you saw how smooth that kill was into a TP, and kill, smoke, TP, right? So that way you can't get punished. You don't always have to do it that fast, but you should be in your mind ready that like, this place is not somewhere where I always want to be. Like, especially if you're like 3 people mid, Like, oh, you get this first kill, or you tuck in, and then maybe throw a shitty smoke, and then you TP. All right, and then maybe not a shitty smoke. Throw a better smoke, guys. You guys get my point. And then that way you can get out, and you guys can, you know, make sure that you're fine. Maybe if you calm to your teammate, and he wants to play aggro, and then once a smoke comes up, he'll hold the smoke. That's also really good. You don't, yeah, but the idea is you don't always need to contest mid. Jump spotting usually good enough. Base it off your teammates. Base it off your Jet, Chamber, whatever duelists that have an escape ability. Because when they have a reason to escape, right? So basically they can get the first kill, they can escape, you peek, you get the second kill, and then they can re-peek, or you can be able to get out. But that idea is that you get 2 for 1. Or at the bare minimum, you generally get 2 for 1. Like if I see my, hey, Jet is looking like she's like walking up cat, then I'll like jump peek and spot for her, so that I'm like, oh, if I see someone here, like right there, then I can say, hey, one top mid, and then when my Jet, like maybe this is smoked and my Jet swings through, it gets the kill because he knows where it is. So like work off your teammates like that. And that's pretty much it. I hope this guide helped. It gives a lot of insight into how I think and how you can use my knowledge and experience to better win your games. I stream weekdays from 4 p.m. EST to 8 p.m. So in the case you have any other questions, or you want to see another guide like this live, come through to my chat and we could talk about it. I also have a channel points reward where you can roll for a coaching lottery, and you have a 1 in 200 chance of just getting a free coaching session from me. As always, if you like the content, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.